live and noisy, and people can hear us, and then, they can understand we're talking about stuff, and I'm going to say hello, everybody out there. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. It is December 9th. It's been 2 weeks. It's been a lot of 2 weeks. There's a docket in the Twitch chat if you're live.
Shit happened.
Joining us live, or if you're joining us on YouTube, please check out the massive docket below as we go over the insanity of everything that's kind of been going on. Sort of.
Shit happened, and it wasn't just Wizards of the Coast doing dumb stuff.
I think it was a lot of positive things that happened these 2 weeks, personally.
Agreed. I'm just saying, the last few times you said a lot has happened, it's usually been Wizards doing dumb stuff.
Usually, yeah. Shout out to the 3 months where Tannis and I lived in constant spiraling despair over Wizards of the Coast.
I hopped in after you.
Was our livelihood technically in question then? Yes, it was. I make D&D content. Tantis is a streamer. Wizards of the Coast wanted to kill us.
Yeah. Let's start with something. We'll start with the D&D news, because there's a lot here, and I also separated it out weirdly, accidentally, but whatever. Let's start with the one that's the oldest one, which I had from technically before going to PAX.
The oldest and weirdest.
The oldest and weirdest. Do you want some D&D stamps? Who paid for this?
I believe...
Stamps? Honestly, I'll let you go.
Honestly, it makes sense to a degree because D&D is kind of one of America's biggest cultural, products, I guess, in a way.
You're not wrong, but it's also it's that fact that as much as Dungeons & Dragons is becoming more mainstream, and role-playing games in general are becoming more mainstream, it still feels like it really hasn't hit that, true zeitgeist. I feel like where role-playing games are now, we're early 2000s, late 90s anime. Where it was becoming bigger, but it wasn't a thing. People talking about being a fan of anime now, or comic books or something, they could be really easily accepted because it is so widespread at this point. And yeah, D&D has gotten a lot more.
D&D is still that thing of oh, you play D&D and you roll dice. That's quaint, I feel like it's not a thing people know about versus oh, you play video games. That's cool. I love FIFA, although it's not called FIFA anymore.
Really? What's it called now?
I have no idea what it's called, but EA lost the license to use the term FIFA.
And that is hilarious. Good work, EA. Look, I'm not gonna lie, dude. FIFA thing's just. But that's a story that doesn't involve tabletop. So
video games. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we need at least 2 more D&D movies, and then I feel like it's mainstream.
I love that it's marking the 50th anniversary, described by its owners as the world's greatest role-playing game.
That's not wrong, though.
I mean, it's not wrong.
It is the self-described world's greatest role-playing game.
No one argues with it, though, too, because I guess there really isn't a place to. But I love it that it's self-described.
I guarantee you lots of people do.
It's like the dude from Office Space with the world's best boss coffee cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those. They just kind of pat themselves on the back, even though arguably they're not the greatest role-playing game.
Yeah. So
I like that they use the brass dragon. Or not bronze. Why did my brain say brass? Man, I'm a terrible. I love the bronze dragon. Bronze dragon is my favorite design.
Shout out to the purple worm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send that one to sell.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
I might buy these.
Yeah.
I don't own any stamps, and I might need some in the future, so I'll have these for the rest of my life.
Yeah, there you go. It comes up occasionally. You need to mail something.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if I need to mail something, I just steal a stamp from work.
That's fair.
But yes. So
don't tell my boss I said that. I'm not sure he'd care, but
yeah. We're gonna see these in 2024, so expect D&D stamps in 2024 to be next to
rural rural ass post office and go to the 90-year-old woman who works there and be like, "Excuse me, I want D&D stamps, please."
Next to the Ansel Adams, the Carnival Knights, and whoever John Walden is.
I think he's a basketball dude.
Yeah,
basketball coach, I think.
Next to them is D&D. You know, I feel like it stands out. Could we have could we have had like a year at least of like other similar kind of things about like big properties?
Stamps.
I mean, with the stamps, like just similar, like we do stamps for a bunch of like, you know, big name, U.S. properties or something. I don't know.
I mean, I guarantee you there are some really weird stamps.
I'm gonna ask a question here as I'm posting this. Have either of you actually dived deep into Playtest 8?
No, I have not had time to read a 30-page document.
I have been looking through it a bit this morning.
I've been very busy this week. That didn't work, Texas.
Yeah, that's the wrong.
I'll get the link from the website.
Because that wasn't. I did the link of what, because the website leads to that link.
You did the file link. That doesn't work in Twitch chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go to D&D Beyond and grab it.
So they went in and they did edits to Barbarian, Druid, and Monk.
Very sad they didn't do fixes to the Barbarian, to the Zealot Barbarian? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See, the big thing about this that I'm really kind of like a little off about is that we got this when they're technically, we're going to talk about it in a little bit here, there was the technical sort of announcement of the release date and then it vanished. You know, which is in May. And if they're shipping a book in May, now, granted, that could have been like an old release date and they could have pushed it back to somewhere in 2024 and maybe that's why they got rid of it. But it still feels like the Playtest 8 is very close. So how much can our feedback actually
That was
affect?
probably a placeholder release date, I'd imagine.
Okay.
Because a lot of companies, to sell a product, you have to have a release date listed.
True. So very well could have
Like
been
when a game leaks on Amazon and it has like a release date, it's usually a placeholder release date.
Okay. So, again, it just feels like I'm curious as to how much feedback we're actually going to be giving for this one before they are... Because, like, that's the other thing. And I'm going to talk about this when I talk about the 50th anniversary panel a little bit more that I was at PAX Unplugged. But the material they're showing was very early on, but they were showing off basically pages in progress and stuff like that. And if they're on to that point in building stuff, it just makes me question, like, you know, that we didn't get this early.
So the thing I'll say with that is you can change text on a page and still have the page layout and art.
I guess that's true now.
Because I doubt the books are printed yet.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's actually a lot more complicated than that for PDFs. If you've ever worked with a PDF file, we can do some of that, but not a lot of that.
It is also Wizards, so we don't actually know how they're doing it, because they could be...
The online version of this will actually work yet.
Yeah, I think they... Also because they're always behind... It always feels like they're behind schedule, or behind by, like, maybe, like, 5-10 years. They might even have, like, a way... For whatever they're doing for their, like, preview book they're going to use to make the real ones might be a lot more primitive and weird or something.
We genuinely don't know, because we don't really have access to that, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've not had time to read this UA because I've just been busy with life.
I guess I'll just go over the design notes a little bit, because those design notes for each class will just give the general updates. Yeah. So, Rage now regains 1 expended Rage when you finish a short rest. Excuse me. As I cough here. Brutal Strike, which was Brutal Critical, is a new feature that lets you trade advantage granted by your Reckless attack for tactical options. Honestly, having played Brutal Critical recently, I'm okay with that. Brutal Critical came up like once or twice.
Look up what brutal critical is.
That's where when you add an extra dice to when you critical.
Ow.
Isn't this just a feat? Isn't there a feat that does this?
There might be now, but that was I was playing in your game recently as God, I'm even forgetting my character's name because it's been a few weeks. My regular human man who's a barbarian. Yeah, I had brutal critical. It came up like
no,
once.
the feat is a
James.
reroll, the non-additional die. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, James, the human who never had a portrait.
Yeah, I kept forgetting.
Path of the Zealot. Yeah, that is the one. Okay, yeah. No, I'm very sad they didn't update this one. This one they made absolute garbage.
Improved Vertical Strike was just an improved version of Brutal Strike, which has now also been updated because the old one was updated, and now Persistent Rage restores all your rage per long rest, and the unconscious condition not incapacitated shuts off your rage. Which I guess is a good update. So if you're incapacitated but not unconscious, you can still be angry.
This basically prevents like hold person from cutting your rage off.
Just good.
Yeah.
Which I realize is a really dastardly way to do that, as every time I use Karlach against a mage in Baldur's freaking Gate. It's all like, oh, no. Oh, you're raging. Hold.
This Lightning's experience is a man with 8 wisdom in our campaign. Just getting held person constantly.
The subclass Path of World Tree is the one that's showing up. It got updated with new abilities and stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, Path of the Zealot, they really killed it last time, and now they haven't updated it, which is very sad.
Druid now allows druids to know more beast forms and gives temporary hit points to druid, and additional beast forms no longer retain the druid species traits.
That's a good change.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting now, so you're no longer a human, so you actually are an animal.
Yeah, that's a good change, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like the only change Druid got.
Yeah, it really wasn't a lot.
Well, last Druid was actually mostly good.
Yeah, when
How many
they
did
changed
they have
it
before?
I think they had like... I don't know. I don't actually know. I don't want to say a number and give misinformation.
Give me 1 second. I literally have it open. I can find it.
I don't.
The current one is 2 plus half your druid level of
knowing
forms.
3 forms for this feat. You start knowing 3 forms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So you used to only have 3 forms.
Okay.
Now you have 3 plus half. And you gain
2 plus half your druid level. So yeah, round it up. So you start with that 3, and you go up as you know. So
okay, yeah. So they made it
12.
a formula instead of before, which is just on the chart, which maxes it 4.
I always like it when your abilities get better over time.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And the thing about Druid's Wild Shape, I always feel like it's been not only a combat thing, but a versatility tool. And that was the coolest thing about Wild Shape, is like you could change to this animal for the help in this kind of situation. They just have Circle the Moon, which they upgraded it some more. And then it looks like for Monk, we got a bunch of updates.
Monk got a big update.
Yeah.
I think they finally know what they want to do with Monk.
Okay. Martial arts, return of martial arts monk weapons, and the martial arts die applying to those.
So what's funny is I've played Monk like a bajillion times in normal 5th edition. I never knew the martial die effect would change monk weapon damage die, because I always used the quarterstaff, which is the highest weapon damage die a monk can have anyways. So I just didn't know that it did that until this came out.
I don't. Did it before?
It did. Yeah, I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it did that. And I played Monk like 8 times in 5th edition.
I knew that only because, as I'm also forgetting his name, my Warforged monk that was in Joe's Grinding Gears game, I actually looked into that a lot of times, because we could get like futuristic space weapons, and I could be like, well, is this worth using instead of like my martial arts abilities and stuff like that?
Usually,
it wasn't, but I had that question happen a lot more than I think. The bonus arm strike is no longer tied to the attack action.
Woo.
That's nice. I actually do like that you can like do a bunch of stuff and then also punch a man.
Or
What is
monk weapon,
the-
yeah.
Monk
Yeah,
is
it's
the
there.
punch. Monk is the punch class.
Oh, also, I didn't realize this, but the new version you start at 1d6 instead of 1d4.
Yes, that is like the best fucking change because it means you can be an effective fisticuffs monk at level
And
1.
you go up to d12s instead of d10s.
Yes, the rare and fabled D12.
Ah, who
Man,
cares?
great axe damage.
Literally, yeah, like, literally, in some ways it's like, it's, you know... it's
Level
like,
20, it's not that big of a deal, but you know.
No. And let me
Just
see.
5e doesn't like to use the D12 very often.
No, I'm sorry. 3rd edition didn't like to use the D12 very often.
There's like 3 things in 5e that use a D12, and I hate it.
It might be the exact same 3 things that were used in like freaking 3rd edition. I'm sorry. D12 is the redheaded stepchild of,
It's
you know.
a good die. Maybe
fine.
my
I don't-
favorite.
12 is the best die.
It's like my favorite shape of dice.
They changed dexterous attacks.
I do like a D4 a lot, actually, just a pyramid.
It is the caltrops of the D&D world.
Yeah.
They got rid of weapon mastery for
Honestly,
monk.
good. I didn't like weapon masteries.
The monk's discipline doesn't require you to spend discipline points.
Did they change it back to key yet? There's still discipline.
No, it's discipline points. Look, I'm okay
No.
with discipline points.
All
it's
right,
fine.
Wizards. I know you're not listening, but I'm gonna tell you why discipline points is really bad. The abbreviation is DP, which is
I know
something maybe you don't want in your players to say.
Yes. Uncanny metabolism is now
Metabolism.
is now level 2.
Fair enough.
And you regain discipline points when you roll initiative as well as regaining a number of hit points. That's interesting.
Oh, okay, that's what that means. Okay.
Yeah.
I was one. I hadn't actually heard. I have never heard that referred to as DP before.
Yeah, I'm ruined by the internet.
See, like, I'm glad my brain forgets where that actually is from, but I remember it was bad. It was like, that's bad, but I can't remember why. And I'm like, I'm not going to ask, because I don't really need to know.
It's not great.
My brain has forgotten it. But my bad memory for once saves me.
No, just do what I do every time someone does that and just search it on Urban Dictionary.
The best change, though, to Monk is something I was always going to do anyways. Deflect missile is now deflect attacks. You can deflect melee attacks.
That's so good. I mean,
It makes Monk so much more survivable.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are still a D8 class.
Oh, yeah, melee and range. That is actually very nice. Instead of
when I saw that Star Wars 5e made it, I'm like, I'm just going to give that to Monk. Because it's a really good way of dealing with Monk having a shit hit die.
Oh man, the superior defense, which is really good now, it doesn't use an action or bonus action to activate, so it means it's like really worth it to actually use then for once.
Yeah, I do like that the like patient defense and Step of the Wind was because this is where you can do an action or you can spend a discipline point to do like 2 things.
Yeah.
So you can basically so basically you can like really capitalize on those. Because it is kind of true that like Rogue basically got these same things for free, you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Monk always had to spend to get them.
I do feel this, because this is really the first time they've changed Monk. It is a little strong, I think, comparatively to like a fighter or a paladin. But I think it'll get the proper work it needs.
I think, honestly, I think it's fine. I don't mind some classes being slightly more powerful than others, as long as they're fun.
The big thing for me is, one, Stunning Strike being force damage. That's a big thing. I don't like force damage becoming more common, because it's something that a lot of things can't block or deal with.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things for me. But it is a resource you're spending.
Everything's, but it is annoying because everything's basically all like bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage, resistance, and then it's all like, oh, but pretty much everything can spend some kind of point to deal force damage, which forces you to use your resources, but it's also just kind of annoying.
It also makes one particular item in the game very strong: approach of shielding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Approach
block
of
is
shield?
force damage.
Approach of shielding blocks force damage.
That's probably changing if they have any sense.
Yeah, they will probably make it like you get resistance to force damage or something.
It might be what it originally was, and it just blocks magic missiles, which what it originally was, which made it kind of useless, but I don't know. Or maybe
I don't know,
magical
man.
force damage?
I fucking ran a game where everyone had magic missile, and I just felt bad as a DM.
So, yeah, Monk's got a big update, Druid a little bit, Barbarian a little bit, so, and it's playtest 8. So it screams that, like, yeah, with the level of updates, it isn't a lot either that they're really playtesting. So,
yeah, I think every other class is in a pretty good spot. At least from what I remember from the last UA.
Perfect Discipline is nice. Okay, wait, what is this? Okay, so monks can now get up to 5 attacks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice that they have that. The other one who gets a lot of attacks is Fighter, right?
Yeah, Fighter gets I forgot how many attacks Fighter can. There's still a lot. I'm gonna look it up.
Actually...
A level 20 Fighter gets 4 normal attacks, and then he can action surge.
And get 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they have to...
You can make 8 attacks as a level 20 Fighter.
Still level 13... No. Okay, 17 is when you get a second use of action surge. Yeah, okay, so... Yeah, I mean, they basically can do 8 or they can basically, early on, like by level 10, by the same time as a monk, a level 11, so near the same time as a monk, get 2 extra attacks, so they can make 4, so monk actually still does outpace in action economy.
I think the big thing
with monk, fair.
I think the big thing with monk is you are still using worse weapons usually.
Yeah. Because either your fist or weapons, and I think the idea that you don't get those weapon masteries might make a difference for, like, you know, the weapon abilities that a fighter could use may make the difference in a lot of ways. True.
At level 10, you're significantly weaker because you have you are significantly weaker in terms of your damage. Let's see, what was it? Level 10, you'd be like a D6 still? No, D8. Yeah, so you'd be like a D8, D10. Whereas Fighter could basically have a great sword of 2D6 or...
Yeah, your choices as monk are kind of like... For the most part, you should really only pick a quarterstaff. Or something, or things you can throw. And that's how you do monk. And yeah, monk
I do like that they're now proficient just in anything with a light property instead of a select list.
Yeah, but still, that's not a huge amount of weapons.
It still mostly is limited to... It does give some martial weapons, though, which is good.
And Lightning's right.
Now,
monk doesn't have a lot of HP or AC in comparison without those magic items.
A monk without magic items can only get up to 20 AC, which is still a lot, but you're unlikely to ever get that because you need 5 dex, 5 wisdom mod.
Yeah. And there is the point where, let's see. Yeah, and to do your full year of blows has to be unarmed, so you can only get your extra attacks in melee range. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, there's some balance there, but I don't think they're like that broken.
I think this is a good place to work from with monk.
Agreed.
It seems like they finally... Seems like after many editions of D&D, they finally know what they want monk to be.
Now here's a question: if you have a great sword that's magically light, could they use it, or does it have to be part of the base weapon?
I would say no, personally. However, the thing with monk though is, and this is something you really shouldn't do because it's kind of bad. You take some fighter levels. With Tasha's monk, you can have some martial weapons as a monk, but you're giving up at least like 2 or 3. You're giving up a couple monk levels for that, and you still can't use great swords because they have the heavy property. and all that nonsense.
Yeah,
that are
that's true.
two-handed,
They
slow
are already
rotation.
heavy, so magical. Anyway, it's
So-
just a thought.
Let's talk about something that'll be for the next year then, because this will involve the update. But I'm going to first link, which I'd linked the other week when we were talking about coming up PAX Unplugged, the entire list of things that were at PAX Unplugged. And then I went to the 50 Years of D&D panel, which I'm going to link the YouTube... I managed to get this together. The YouTube where they live broadcasted it. That's the entire thing. So you can watch it yourselves, but I'll kind of go over what was there, who was there, and talk about, because they had a discussion on a bunch of stuff, followed up by announcements. And the announcements, I think, are what we wanted to discuss mainly. But it was Amanda Hammond, James Wyatt, Chris Perkins, and Jeremy Crawford were up on stage. They were talking about I cannot remember the exact number of types of games. They were talking about different types of adventures. And then they were reminiscing for the 50th
like
year.
Tiers of adventure, or
Types of D&D adventures you'd run. Because the thing is, they were reminiscing initially with 50 years about their old times. Like, Short Adventures was the first one they talked about, which they mentioned both Dungeon Magazine and Dragon Magazine. And talked about a number of those. Things like Journey Through the Radiant Citadel and some of their more compilation ones are kind of short adventures. They talked about adventure. Yeah, they talked about
art they have for that.
Yeah, they talked about adventure campaigns. Things like the Tyranny of Dragons campaign would have been one where it's a big adventure, spanning over a lot of stuff. Apparently, James Wyatt had worked on City of the Spider Queen from 3rd edition, which. I remember that book. I never actually got or looked into that book, but I remember seeing this book before from the old 3rd edition Forgotten Realms. That was an adventure campaign. They talked about dungeon crawls, where the quintessential one, of course, is Tomb of Horrors, and it's more modern upgrades and stuff that they've got those. Importantly, they mentioned the Lost Caverns of Sojkamp, because we'll talk about why that's important. And then I think the story-based adventures, which were like, things like your Curse of Strahd and stuff like that. They mentioned the older ones there. And, there's been some, like, Eberron stuff. They used the Eberron one, even though, like, I know Eberron's kind of out there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And then there was the Weird Adventures, because apparently that's a type of D&D adventure that's just kind of unusual. They mentioned Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, and, And they also talked about the new Fandalar, the Shattered Obelisk, because apparently that's kind of going in a weird direction now, their new extended Fandalar that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So, that was the 50 Years of D&D. They talked about, like, their favorite adventures. A lot of these were the ones they mentioned. They mentioned some other ones. They talked about that and their history with D&D and stuff like that. It was interesting. They're fine people. I have no complaints about any of them. I'm going to say that there.
I know nothing about them, but I have seen Chris Perkins in, like, D&D campaigns.
I think the thing about them is they feel like they're creators more than anybody that's up in the management.
They're not like suit.
Yeah, these aren't the suits. These are the people that are, like, actually designing and, like, working on a lot of this stuff here. So maybe their decisions are going to be affected by suits and stuff, but mostly speaking, they're in it for the game. So it's fine. So, the first thing they announced is Descent into the Lost Caverns of Sojkamp, which is a kind of revisit of that adventure I mentioned before. The theme that's with the 50th anniversary is rehashing the old in a way, which can be good and bad. Something like this, where it's basically based on an old thing but upgraded maybe with some different things, is a little okay. But we're also getting, what was it, I can't remember the book name, the one that they did like a rehash of old adventures and updated to 5th edition?
Oh, Yawning Portal, I think. Was that one?
Yeah, they're doing another one of those.
Ow, fair enough. Just kicked my desk, that hurt.
They've got Vecna, Eye of Ruin, which is a Vecna-based adventure. I think it's going to be more story-driven. Quests from the Infinite Staircase, which I remember the infinite staircase existing. I know nothing about it, but apparently it's supposed to be like a lot of
backwards long jump it. To past it, right? That's how it works.
BLJs. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do your BLJs to glitch up your way up it. It's supposed to be a lot of individual stories that can be played on their own, or since they're connected to this infinite staircase, you can do them in a series, you know? So there is like a kind of overall plot, but you can also play them on their own. So those are the three major book announcements that they had. They're interesting sounding, you know? We got a little bit about them, but not really a lot. If you want to see the full thing on them, the panels, Great Place, where they talk about them a little bit. I can't remember which one of those is the compilation one, but one of them is going to be... It might be the Infinite Staircase one.
That one sounds like it would be the compilation.
Yeah. The big thing that I thought was really cool is we're getting the making of the original Dungeons & Dragons book, which is 1970-1976, which is basically the original edition of Dungeons & Dragons, laid out with production notes from a gaming historian, and it will also include letters between Gary Gygax and I never fucking remember his name, the other guy that worked with him to create D&D.
David Arnson.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So the letters between the two of them also there. And so it's like a 500-page book that's going to include. So if you do want to play the original D&D, it's in there technically, but also it's got all that historical stuff related to, you know, talking about its production and stuff. So it's actually a pretty interesting product. I'm not gonna lie.
Documentaries like that are very cool.
Yeah, and because they got like help of a gaming historian, like who looks into, I guess, board games, tabletop, and all that kind of stuff. That's really cool, you know, and. So, those the big ones. And then they talked about, of course, D&D 2024. And here's where the previews they gave me kind of shaped the way I was looking at things a little differently here. I've always kind of tried to compare... I always thought about the comparisons a little bit more. But they showed off things like, with what they talk about, we know they're going to have a lot more art in this book. It's going to be larger than the Player's Handbook we have now. By far. For every class, there will be a full page art piece for that class. There's going to be 4 archetypes per class, and each archetype will have their own piece of art compared to them. Things like every weapon is going to have a picture of it. So they are going ham on we're having a lot of art in this book, we're showing you a lot of stuff, not just telling you a lot of stuff. Which isn't necessarily bad, but it does kind of pimp out this and make it a lot more attractive too, I think that's the entire thing, is like they're selling us because they are making something that is technically completely compatible with their old editions that they have now, but they're presenting it in such a way that I feel like the main issue is, rather than the power differences which might exist but would be very minor, it feels like it's going to be a lot of that FOMO kind of going on there too. To like the temptation of a lot of stuff there.
I mean, that's just marketing.
Yeah, I know that's marketing.
Just marketing.
Like
they obviously want you to buy the product.
Their business. That's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, if the art's good and it's a nice looking book, then hell yeah, you know, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the big thing that I also reflected upon this is the compatibility still exists there, and it might still be equivalent power-wise, but I thought about it the more that they talked about it, especially with this year, because this had stuff that they didn't really talk about the same way in the playtest. How they talked a lot about backgrounds in the playtest before.
Have they?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, they have. Yes, they completely changed the background system.
Yeah, what did they show in the playtests?
In the playtest, your ability score increases from your species are no longer species, it's all background. You get a background feat.
Yep.
You get background languages and things like that.
So it is a lot like it is now. They moved a lot of stuff from species to background, which I think the interesting comment that I heard from someone, because I was talking to Dungeon Dad, Josiah, because he's the person I know, and a few other people that he had been with afterwards, and the kind of, like, agreement to a degree was there is this idea that they moved away from stuff when it was species to make them a little bit more, everything is similar to each other, to make it a little bit more, I don't want to use the word generic, because it really isn't.
It's uniform.
Uniform. But then with these, the backgrounds are kind of like taking the place of that,
yeah.
Which kind of is the same thing too. So it's kind of a weird thing to do.
I like it because personally, one, in my opinion, a player character in 5th edition at level 1 is infinitely better than every other person in their community.
True.
You're not Farmer Joe, you've seen some shit, right?
Very true.
Like a level 1, like compare a level 1 character in 5th edition to a level 1 character in Pathfinder. The 5th edition character is obviously much stronger at level 1. Just in terms of power, because, I don't know, just how the game is. But having backgrounds this way actually makes for far more customization, in my opinion. Despite being a more uniform presentation, you are not locked to Acolyte, Bitch Boy Farmer, Guard, right? You don't have those. You can be whatever you want, background-wise, as long as your DM allows it. And I think that's a lot better than static backgrounds that exist in the player's handbook.
I guess
then some vague rules in the player's handbook of how to make your own.
Yeah, I guess that I agree with there too. As long as they have rules for making your own, I think that's very important, because that's, I think, the thing that makes this a little bit easier to use than Species, definitely, as a link to a lot of your stuff for your character. I definitely can see that. That's a very important one. It's an interesting idea. I just, it's the... I just kept thinking about it, and I'm like, a lot of what they kind of showed off and the way they showed it and talked about it, it definitely feels like, and I do agree, looking at it, and again, I think we have to see the full book.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that's good. This is going to be the final thing is, I think in the end, the full book is going to be so important here for this thing here, because we can speculate on how this actually compares, and yes, the way it is built, it is 100% compatible with the older systems. And I think that's the thing, too. Also, me reflecting on 3.5 more, I thought about it more. And I think the thing is, I don't know why we accepted 3.5 the way we did, because when I actually started thinking about a lot of the changes in 3.5, they're very similar to this here, for different reasons. 3.5 came about because of mistakes and balancing errors in 3.0. There was a lot of problems with 3.0 in its initial build. Granted, there are problems in 5.0, but they're not really correcting that. It's sort of like 3.0 was balancing things down to make things down to a more even level and more standard. I think it removed some things that were very broken and raised up some things to there. This is also standardizing it, but I think it's kind of almost like raising it to the standard of some of the better classes, because we've kind of figured out what the better classes and better backgrounds are and trying to make them all a little bit more equal. So it is, in a way, balancing still, and it's still a very big use that's actually very helpful for the health system. But it's marketing basically between the two of them, and I don't know what's a better marketing.
I'm gonna shout out a very good video, and I'm going to post in chat, that Matthew Colville did a few days ago.
Okay, I'm a little curious. There was a lot of, I'll let you finish.
Matthew Colville did a video called So Your D&D Edition is Changing, where he went over what that means, the history of it. I'm going to post that video in chat. It's a very good video, very well-informed and researched video from a man who has experienced all the edition changes from AD&D to now.
I definitely know that I haven't encountered second edition AD&D's change and stuff too. So that's
but one thing he says in this video that, and this relates to the 3.0 to 3.5 change. I forget who he quotes, but there was I guess some kind of guy watched a game of of 3.0 Wizards for playtesting and said, it looks like 2 hours of math and 30 minutes of fun. And that's kind of why they made 3.5. Because 3.0, we look back at it as like, yeah, it was fun. It wasn't. It wasn't that fun. It was a lot of crunchy mathematics and rule discussion. And then 3.5 had less of that.
They did remove a bunch of the crunchiness. Yeah, go ahead.
So the first playtest, they did change around some like race stuff. Is that what they're going to be doing and getting rid of backgrounds? I'm a little confused about that.
Okay.
So static backgrounds like your acolyte, scoundrel.
I know about
those are not called scoundrel. Those are gone, and you're getting
They're still called the same thing.
They're still called backgrounds.
No, they are still. They showed off acolyte, charlatan, artist, and
those
hermit.
are recommended backgrounds. There are more uniform rules for making backgrounds.
The thing is,
so races are still going to be a thing, and they're still
races will still matter, and they'll have abilities, but your ability scores are now tied to a background.
And the backgrounds, there's all the backgrounds that we had before are still going to be there. It's just they're also going to provide rules for making your own background.
And I also think it's good because it means because this is an issue with
I don't
5th
mind
edition.
The ability score changes like that Tasha's introduced. It's fine. Like I do kind of agree. It's kind of silly if you think about it, but at the same time, it's fine.
I don't think it's silly because the way it was previously done locked you out of playing certain things.
No, that's what I mean. It's silly in the sense that this giant will never isn't going to get a bonus to strength, you know.
But it makes sense.
It's more fun to be able to pick what you want.
In universe, it makes sense because your background is how you were raised. If you're an orc who is raised as a scholar, you're not going to be as strong.
Yeah.
I think
I get it. No, I 100% get it. I think it's more fun. I think it's a better way to build a game.
Yeah.
I just think it can be a little silly if you think about it. That this person isn't orcs aren't necessarily stronger anymore. You know?
Again, this is a thing that I do like about 2nd edition Pathfinder, especially because I have read through a little bit of the revised version of it. That they do tie some ability scores to your ancestry, but they also are this ancestry normally has a minus, or you don't have to take that, and you could just do this, They give you options for it that you can take the minus if you think it's an interesting thing or not, and otherwise it's just positives. Plus they give you random other positives you can take, and they give stuff also linked to your background there too. You get ability scores from both of them, which I think are very interesting, and usually they're a lot more optional and stuff like that. But again, you get a lot more ability score ups.
I 100% think it's better for a game to have it the way they're going to be doing.
In my 100%. Anything that allows for more player freedom and customization in character creation is better.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah,
I always just think about it, and it just makes me laugh. That it's oh nope, you're no longer you're not necessarily stronger anymore as an orc, and I just feel that's a little silly. But also, the way it was before was very limiting, and I think it's better to get rid of it.
Lightning brings up a great point. Dragonborn, with their ASIs, only make good paladins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're strength and charisma based.
Yep.
It's the interesting thing that I think when we got to Tasha's and we got to that point in time where we're separating it out, this is what we needed for there, I feel like.
I think because Tasha's was so sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no build up. It was just, this is how it is now kind of thing.
Yeah, once it sank in, I think it's just it wasn't the thing I didn't like is they didn't do it from a gameplay perspective. They did it from your upbringing doesn't actually matter perspective, which was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I remember them explaining it at the time.
Yeah, I think what they needed for that was this here, with the backgrounds and stuff like that. And that's very good that we're getting that. And also, I'm going to mention here, if you go through the 50 years, they're going to have these really cool scenery art to match with the different backgrounds that they're giving. So again, we're going to see all the backgrounds we saw before. It's just we will have those rules, which are... That's a lot better than create your own race or species rule. Because create your species rule, you're adding another layer. The other one's just, here's to define a different job, that I had growing up. That's a lot easier.
Yeah.
I also want to say...
to be fair, create your own species rules would be nice for the DMG. If a DM
they might have
make
that.
Their stuff
They might have outlines for that.
Mm-hmm.
I also say another thing with this 5.1, I'm just gonna call it 1D&D because that's what the playtest is called.
Yeah.
With 1D&D, if you read because they have had snippets of lore that they're updating in 1D&D, I actually overall like that the Faerun they're portraying is a more happier place where people are more willing to cooperate with each other, where versus old 5th edition and earlier there was a lot of constant infighting between groups, because that shows a good evolution of the world as they've gone through a billion world-ending crisis.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be okay, you know what? We're going to try and preserve our world because we're not the enemies with each other.
Yeah, when you've got cosmic horrors constantly invading, I think it makes sense that people maybe tiefling aren't that bad.
I think that's one of those things, again, harkening back to Pathfinder and Golarion a little bit. It's something that we needed it for Forgotten Realms to match for the level of worlds. I always said, I had enjoyed Forgotten Realms for so many years, but in the recent years I kind of fell off of it because it felt something was wrong about it, where they were kind of taking it. If this is going to draw them back towards a more interesting version of Forgotten Realms, I'll be happy to revisit that kind of place again. I've liked Golarion because it deals with these world-ending threats and is some shit's happened, but we're doing our best to make do with it, and improve ourselves as a world. And I think that's a good thing to look at, that there is maybe a meta narrative to the stories you tell to a degree.
Yeah, there's also Golarion's also nice because it's all the world already ended and we're kind of picking up the pieces still, even though that was a long time ago. So we're basically just trying to keep it from ending again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 10,000 years ago, we had a dark age of literal darkness for a long period of time. It really sucked. We're building back up from that. We're doing our best. But, no, we did get a little bit of updates on information also from the DMG and from the Monster Manual. I think the thing I can say about the Monster Manual, which is a very interesting thing, is, and this is another thing that I think is a reflection on, okay, Player's Handbook, I think, is the one that I can argue for either using the old stuff or keeping with the new stuff the most, you don't necessarily need the new stuff. Your character's just going to do just fine, especially if you're not... if you're comparing them side by side, I think that's not something you're going to usually do. You're not going to have bard two bards in a party. You're going to probably have a bard that's an older bard, maybe using some of the new stuff that was put in the middle, some stuff from Tasha's or Xanathar's or any of those books in there that, are improvements to your character that make it a little bit better. And, you're probably going to get some things in a build that, help you reflect, the build, the optional feat, because you get one of those kind of from, the new 5th edition stuff. So yeah, anyway. But that's kind of those I can feel are more. But when we talked about the new GMG and new Monster Manual, it kind of came down to a very interesting thing, because it's almost as if I feel for DM, especially if you're diving into the newer stuff, it's going to be even more required. And let me explain why I think that. With the new 5th edition, we're balancing out the classes more, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the idea of that. Mm-hmm. The new DMG is balancing monsters, but not in a way you think. They are beefing up high-end monsters in a lot of ways. That's what they said.
It's necessary.
It's necessary because apparently the high-end monsters were just damage sponges and oftentimes died a lot. So we're seeing a lot of, as things ramp up, they're rebalancing monsters in a lot of ways, which ends up being a lot of times making them tougher. And that's the kind of thing I'm just if I'm using the old Monster Manual against the new rebalanced players, they're really going to be a pushover. Yeah. And I think that's where it's sort of I think you really need the Monster Manual as a DM. And the GM's guide, I think, is that one that's kind of in the middle, because sort of it's much more organized than the DM's guide than the original Dungeon Master's guide. And also will add a bunch more stuff and a lot more magic items. Magic items have been balanced. Still the same rarity, but they've also been rebalanced in a lot of ways. And I feel like that one also may be a little necessary. It's not the same as the Monster Manual, but like definitely if any of your game is going to update to the new stuff, you really, as a DM, need that Monster Manual. Unfortunately.
I feel like the new DMG is so necessary only because the original DMG is so bad.
So trash.
Yes.
The original D&D is, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, one of the worst written rulebooks I've ever read.
Yeah, which is funny compared to the PHB, which at the time I always remember being like the best rulebook ever written.
Yeah,
like,
the player's handbook was really well written, and like
really well
the
organized. Really well thought
DMG
through.
is so bad.
Literally, I just remember, like, the thing I always think about is that, like, I have, like, Post-its, and if I remember correctly, it's all, like, to talk about, what was it, weather? There's, like, 4 different sections you have to go to, like, get the bits about weather you need.
My DMG, it is full of sticky notes that direct me to pages where you would... There are sticky notes in my DMG where I would think rules are that direct me to the page where that rule actually is.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's the, like, monster stuff. You've got the monster building rules in the back, but then the rules about experience and stuff in the front. And they're basically, oh yeah, just reference that stuff if you want to. You know, it's all like... So it's like, you have to jump back and forth if you want to try and, like, build a monster.
I do think the new monster manual is going to be required because, man, I run high level 5th edition. It is pretty boring as a DM. High level monsters don't really do anything. They just have a lot of HP and AC.
And, like, you know, the thing is, they're saying that all these books are going to be a lot larger. So that's another thing, too, is we're going to have a lot more material, a lot more stuff. I mean, like, honestly speaking, it is very interesting to hear that they're going to have what is it? How many classes is there? 12 classes? I counted this recently. So it's,
there's 12 base classes.
So 48 archetypes that they're going to have.
That's a lot of archetypes.
4 for each of the classes. You know,
makes sense.
Probably a little bit. They're probably gonna have more for wizard, and unless they're roping all of the class ones into one.
This is what they're saying for now. So that it might just be that you're like a school wizard and you choose a school, but your rules are the same or something. Like they might not have individuals for the wizard like that, the same way that we had before. But also, like, again, this is saying that you could still use some of the more recent old ones, which I thought is also really an interesting thing. Which, just harkening back to the discussion between 3.5, 3.0, there was, like, one of that interesting things I thought about then is, it technically was just compatible with 3.0, just maybe not quite as well as this one is, too, but in that time period, I remember, like, we just reused a bunch of stuff that, as long as the rules didn't change for it, it was perfectly legal.
Pay more attention with 3.0 and 3.5, whereas this, it's like, I want to use this new cleric with this old cleric subclass, and that just kind of works.
Yeah.
It works. I mean, the one thing I've brought up is that, like, anyone who's a min-maxer who wants to play Barbarian is going to pick the old bear.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right?
Yeah. Get some stuff like that.
It's so easy to deal with min-maxers. I just have my pocket NPC ready to cast Power Word Kill at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean... but like new Barbarian with old Totem of the Bear is going to be so hard to deal with.
I think the thing is, I wouldn't allow a mix and a match like that necessarily. Yeah. Like, if you're just going to go old, go full old. If you're going to do new, do full new. I mean, technically speaking, you should be able to. But
honestly, this is very easily remedied by being a GM who goes, stop trying to game the system. Smack!
Well, I would probably just say, like, if you're going to use new stuff, use the new stuff. If you're going to use old stuff that isn't part of the new stuff, or don't use the new stuff at all. You know,
for all
make
you
a choice.
New and aspiring DMs, I'm going to teach you about your most powerful tool at your disposal: the word no.
No. Yeah, no, yes. I know. I agree with you.
Just say no.
I'm just saying it's going to be a problem.
If your player is like, I want to do this thing that gives me plus 10 to hit at level 1, just say no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Joe could learn to do that. Realize.
Joe would accidentally build something min-max.
Well,
Well,
Joe doesn't
would
try
act-
to.
As a DM, I'm finding Joe's having a harder time saying no than some DMs.
Lightning's bringing up my fucking Pathfinder character in 5e plus 16 to all thrown weapon attacks at level 6.
I think it's also the thing about Joe is just talking about the game he runs. He has 4 players. He wanted more, and he's desperate to hold on to 2 of those players.
Bro,
Fair.
I fucking run games with Cell as a player, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Cell is a min-max or hardcore.
It's a little min-max and gremlin.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I could do that kind of thing, but I just don't find it fun. I know how, I just don't find it fun.
The good thing about Cell min-maxing though is he can't roll above 10.
that was me when I tried to min-max. That's why I don't try anymore.
I've never seen Cell roll above 10. I'll be real. I don't see Cell roll very high in anything. So that's like, you need all the help you can get, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, here's some more details I missed. The Vecna Eye of Ruin, that campaign, it goes up to 20th level.
Damn.
So it's a 20th level campaign.
Is it 1 to 20?
1 to 20.
God damn.
Which I guess would end up battling Vecna at the end.
Well, I'd be interested in running that, because the only other level 20 game is Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which I don't want to touch.
It's a dungeon crawl.
It's a dungeon crawl.
It's a dungeon crawl. I was interested in it because it was
favorite.
1 to 20, or up to 20th level. It's a dungeon crawl, yeah. Oh yeah, Quest for the Infinite Staircase is like Yawning Portal, updating 5th edition stuff, and then putting like a story that connects them together.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 compilation books are pretty good. Candlekeep and Citadel.
I am probably one of the few people who are like, put a map. If you can give me maps, I will be happy.
Yes, give me maps. Specifically, Wizards, give me maps that make sense for someone. Like, if it's a house map, put a bathroom in it.
I forgot about this because I was looking at. I've
seen
some.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, they have. I feel like I've seen like a chamber pot and stuff.
There's a lot of 5th edition maps that don't have chamber pots, and it's always funny to me.
I was looking through a couple of articles because I was trying to remember some things from the panel, and I forgot for the monster manual, which is going to be over 500 separate entries.
Damn.
They're including a couple new CR20s, or high-level things, including an Archhag and a CR20 ooze called the Blob of Annihilation.
Hell yeah, the Blob.
CR20 ooze called the Blob of Annihilation.
That's a real... That's a final boss I can get behind.
I am curious.
Just a big old goo pile.
I'm just picturing an ooze that ate an orb of annihilation somehow without dying, and then it like absorbed its powers.
That actually could be its like history. It's just like it merged
right?
with it. We don't know. It is kind of both silly, but I think that's also a good thing is they still have a little bit of that old world humor that D&D is good for when they have it sometimes. And I'm glad when they still have that.
Bro, you should, if you like that humor, you should check out the Ravenloft books bestiary. It's got fucking vampire clowns, or like clown pirates.
It is crazy. I also had the AD&D Ravenloft bestiary book, which was a paperback bestiary book, and it's got such weird shit that's kind of funny in it. They went for like it's like horror, but it's like a weird kind of silly kind of weird horror. A lot
like dark humor.
Yeah, dark humor. So, but that was
we have a lot more to talk about.
We do. So we should.
It's a big one.
Hey, I'll put the Dicebreakers link to this here because I am on Dicebreakers for checking for stories. But the big thing is Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year and ended up getting 6 wins.
Well deserved, in my opinion.
And I agree.
Very well deserved. I think best multiplayer is a bit of a stretch. I've played it in multiplayer. So it's certainly not the best multiplayer game, but what was the other ones for best multiplayer? I feel like there wasn't a lot for best multiplayer.
Yeah, I think they had the Super Mario Wonder on there, and I've seen them one.
That's wild to me because that doesn't have multiplayer.
No, it really doesn't. I've seen the multiplayer in that game, and I'm like, this is not multiplayer. I saw someone playing with it on, and I'm like, this is.
All right, so the best multiplayer was Baldur's Gate 3, Party Animals, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Diablo 4.
Ooh, Diablo
So
4.
not a
Diablo 4.
very stacked category this year.
I mean, I guess of those, I probably would have
And,
gone more.
and Street Fighter 6, I would have given it. Street Fighter 6 probably deserved a little more.
I mean, Party Animals maybe, because Party Animals
Party Animals is pretty good.
took Gang Beast and made it much better.
Definitely support. Definitely deserved.
Yeah.
Neil Newbon, fucking chef's kiss is Asterion. He deserves every goddamn award he gets.
And
obviously, best RPG makes sense.
And I just love that the head of Larian was there in
He was
a suit of armor.
He was in a suit of plate armor. I love that he walked up on the stage in plate armor, having witnessed the past weeks all the awards Baldur's Gate has been getting in dead ass in the microphone, said, "I wasn't expecting this."
I think it's the thing that, like, you know, some of the other categories he maybe expected a little bit, but like Game of the Year, like, took him maybe.
I feel like Game of the Year was stacked.
It had a lot of good stuff.
Also,
in it.
okay, I just looked up like Valerian head in plate armor, and there's not just one image. He's apparently worn this a lot.
Yeah, he wears that suit of armor a lot.
He just likes wearing plate mail.
Not the first time he's worn this. It's not tabletop related, but I do want to give a shout out to Alan Wake 2 sweeping pretty well. It's a fantastic video game, and I think everyone should check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
If you like horror games, if you don't, maybe don't play it. It is scary.
I need to beat Alan Wake 1.
Alan Wake 1 is like one of my favorite video games.
It's really good, but basically what happened is I was playing it on the Xbox, and then like something happened, and then I like went off to college, and then I never played it.
That's fair.
Never finished it.
Also, shout out to, again, unrelated, Sam Lake getting up on stage and doing a silly little dance for the musical number.
Okay, so it didn't win. It was nominated, but didn't win Best Music. Nominated and didn't win Best Narrative.
Best Narrative went to Alan Wake, which I think is more deserved, because I've never seen a game do what Alan Wake 2 did.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Wake is great narrative. Or, sorry, if it's anything like Alan Wake 1, then yeah, no, 100%.
I'd say it's like Alan Wake 1 turned up to 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then Best Game Direction it didn't win. That was Alan Wake.
I think Alan Wake also deserved.
Yeah, I think...
What won Best Music? Final Fantasy?
Final Fantasy 16. Yeah.
That makes sense. It's Soken, he's a musical genius.
I think the thing is, I feel like there was in comparison to a lot of previous years, and, you know, yes, we've got Baldur's Gate 3 here, which allows us to bring in this topic. The video game scene has been very good.
Oh, it's been really great. Like, looking at the, just the I can count 6 Game of the Year nominees. And then seeing, like, Baldur's Gate 3, Alan Wake 2, Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, I don't get that one, but people liked it. Resident Evil 4, Spider-Man 2, and then Mario Bros. Wonder up there for some
other
reason.
ones that I can point out that were this year, the Dead Space remake.
Oh god, the Dead Space remake is like... The Dead Space remake, this is a side tangent, is among... There are 2 of the greatest remakes ever made. Resident Evil 1 remake, and now the Dead Space remake.
And I think if we're going top 3, I would also include the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh yeah, the Resident Evil 4 remake is fantastic, because
that was also
there's a lot of bad stuff in original Resident Evil 4.
I played through that a couple years ago.
Back half Resident Evil 4 is all trash.
Oh yeah, God. And, you know, just seeing the improvements and watching what they've done and how they took the shit campaign of Separate Ways and made it something really good too, just screams like, wow.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Baldur's Gate 3 deserved every award it gets.
Yeah. So, very cool.
It is my personal favorite game of the year. I mean, I played fucking 200 hours of it in like 3 months.
Yeah. So...
I need to play more of it, but I'm trying to like stay spoiled.
I need Tantus to get a new computer so I can drag him kicking and streaming through the campaign.
I have to see if Joe will finish up this weekend. You know,
we need to do it. I want to join.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've yet to play Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer.
I want Tantus to make all the story decisions, though. I want to see what he does.
Agreed.
I want to see how bad he makes the world state with his decisions. I'm just gonna play Gale and make him a barbarian.
So we can talk about the. I can link the original Dicebreakers article, but I did find the copy of it up on Amazon. I can't find much else for the Clue Magic the Gathering.
I saw the Dicebreaker article.
And here is the link to it up on Amazon too. Oh, then link the Clue. Sorry. There's the.
Oh my god,
that's
so
the Google
fucking
search.
long.
How do I delete these things?
You can't. I think
you
I can do it.
can.
I don't know if I can delete yours.
That's a Google search that I accidentally.
I can pin it, and I can pin your shame.
It's fine. It's a Google search for Ravnica Clue Edition.
The second link in that Google search. Chat.
Here you go. Here's this one, and also here's the Amazon one. There you go. That's the showing them on Amazon.
Let's have a really good laugh at the Dicebreaker headline, though.
Yeah, I'm just.
They knew what they were doing.
Fingering a murder.
So I'm 12 years old, chap.
I mean, like, it's actually really good marketing to do basically Clue when you're doing a murder mystery Magic the Gathering set. I'm gonna admit, that's pretty good marketing. You know, we're doing Ravnica Clue, and also we're doing a murder mystery on Ravnica.
It's not the worst thing they've ever done. I like the lands of the rooms. I really like that.
It is very silly.
Someone who's a big proponent of Clue, despite having played it maybe like 3 times in my life, I quite enjoy it.
Yes, I do enjoy Clue. Definitely. This does link to. I'll show you and link the first look at Murders of Karlov Manor, which. Of course, we're already talking about them because we just had a set come out. Doesn't mean we can have time to think about anything next before we're getting the next stuff.
There's literally one. At this point, I feel like we've had one every week for like a while.
It's a constant string of product for you to consume.
Mm-hmm. There is a D&D Clue, Lightning. There is one.
Yeah, there is. It's
who's the doppelganger? Is the
not that good.
Yeah, it's just normal Clue. There's
nothing
special
special about it. Clue so many times.
Yeah. Sometimes you can get a couple of special things in it, but yeah. I need an adventure book. Yeah, I'm sure that might be a little better. But yes. We got to look at it. We've got an idea about some things that are going on. It's going to be a murder mystery. We've got the Clue version of Ravnica also coming out the side about that. So, and apparently they're going to have a special type of card, which are the card just looks like it's a showcase dossier, because I guess it's a murder mystery. Which
like is police dossier, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I think that's an interesting thing when they have the special art cards have a theme to whatever set you're in. That I think is a lot better than sometimes when they're just doing random full arts or all that kind of shit that they do a lot of time.
Yeah, I will say the full arts tend to be either really good or really ugly, in my opinion. Like when they did the Neon Dynasty, the full art for the Emperor was just an anime version that was really ugly.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they do really nice. Those some of those anime versions and stuff look really nice, and they can have really great ones. But sometimes they don't. So yeah. Anyway, so those are all the links to that. Let me see if there's anything else related to this stuff. I do have one more thing related to Magic the Gathering to talk about before we end, and that is they had some banned and restricted announcements, but that's not the important part about this, is they're talking about that they're changing the way that they're looking at Magic can look at bans now. So, the big thing is they're planning on having Magic the Gathering ban cards only once a year, and this is going to mainly be for Standard and I guess Pioneer. So, like, right now, when we're just after the last set of the year, this is when they would have their ban announcements. They also are putting into place that they're calling that they could have emergency bans within a certain period when a set comes out. So I guess it's sort of like they make cards and like, oops, we created a horrible combo that's dominating our, format. Whoopsie, we should do something about that.
Oh man, our special set Draw 1000 is not working as expected.
It's the power creep has been a lot more bans and stuff. Like, in recent years, especially, has been a very heavy Magic power creep, and we're seeing a lot more bans in a lot of places, too. So, it is happening. This is both good and bad, because I guess it's sort of like, we are standardizing that, if you're buying cards, you're not expecting a ban until that end of the year. And, like, if it's early on in a set being out, if there's no emergency ban within the first couple of weeks, you're like, okay, I'm pretty good to play whatever and buy these cards, especially like the big chase cards that may be expensive, and create the famous combos from a standard set or something rather there. But we also really haven't heard about a lot other than that and Pioneer, kind of what they're planning for, honestly, Modern or any of the other formats, like, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, any of those. We haven't really heard a lot about their plans for, are they also going to be part of the yearly kind of thing? We only know that they've confirmed it's for Standard, and they mentioned and talked about Pioneer. So there's still a lot of questions, but it is in a way good that they're not, you're not buying expensive singles and then having to worry about them being banned the next week as much anymore. So that is a better thing. You're not buying stuff that's going to be worthless. There's some more, but there's not a huge amount more. We're doing pretty good. Hey, Humble Bundle has the 2nd edition Legacy bundle out for Pathfinder, 2nd edition. So, yes.
Is this the new Pathfinder 2nd edition or the old?
I think it's the old stuff.
I think so too.
That's why it's Legacy. So this is the original stuff. Because again, most of this stuff is pretty good. You don't really have to worry about it too much. It just seems that they've standardized a lot of stuff when it comes to things in the way they do. I have read through a little bit of the revised book. I haven't had a chance to, but like
I bought the revised books.
Yes, I just have to find some time in a month to like look through it and kind of like organize my thoughts and maybe compare and contrast. Or there's that like hour-long video that compares them or something that I could watch online. I just haven't had an extra hour to do that.
Now I just need to play Pathfinder 2nd edition.
I have to run Pathfinder 2nd edition. On my list. One of these times I'll start an adventure for it.
Honestly, I really want to play 2nd edition, because I honestly, like, again, just playing Pathfinder 1e again, I'm realizing it's really not that great.
It has good moments, but there is a lot of the old world jank still in 1st edition Pathfinder that I think, it's...
Here's my problem as a player. It's just, there's no good way to, like, find what you want. It's all like, it took me forever to figure out how to apply enchantments as a natural attack user. There's only one item that's not clearly stated in, like, anything.
See, I think that's the thing that, like, experience helps with a lot with the system. Because sort of, like, I've done a lot to learn that stuff. Like, I think if you asked about it, I missed that or something. Because I can tell you exactly where to find it. That there's, like, 3 different ways that you can handle enchantments and natural weapons. You can do the kind of spell-based one with druids do. You can do the spell-based one but permanency it. And of course then there's the Necros of Natural Attacks, which technically was built for monks but applies to all natural weapons, so it can also be used on all the natural attacks, and that's where it kind of evolved into. And see, that's information.
Amulet, yeah, I mean, that's why it's called the Amulet of Mighty Fists.
Yeah. And again, that's information that I've had because I've played, like, a decade of Pathfinder, and, like, maybe not quite a decade, but a lot of years of it.
Yeah.
I learned
I looked it up online and read through like a few forum posts to figure out, and I finally found one that actually applied.
Forum posts are both good and bad, because sometimes they go off on weird tangents that you're like, this isn't what I was wanting to talk about.
Yeah.
But, again, if you want to get into these books, it does have a lot of the adventure paths, like the Age of Ashes adventure. It has a bunch of things like the Advanced Player's Guide, some of the other bestiaries. We're only going to get like a update on Bestiary 1, but they're also getting like the Lost Omens, Legends, Monsters of Things. So it's a lot of, and the World Guide is a very good one. So there's a lot of good stuff in here that I could recommend checking out, definitely.
Maybe I should run one. Maybe, because I could do an adventure path. Something to think about.
Always something to think about.
I just don't have time to like prep for things, like prep my own games, which I don't really like to do right now.
Running adventure paths can be helpful for that. It's sort of like, and I feel like I've gotten it down to a science a lot more. I put a lot of the stuff into the system, so I have it there, but then I just kind of run wherever the fuck you guys do, and I just work with what you do. So like,
I only prepare so much for, and then have someone be like, my plan is to beat a corpse up. Kidnap
I know,
old man.
At that point, there's a lot more improv. What I'm talking about is like, I tend to be someone who like makes my own maps and does that kind of stuff. Whereas it's like, honestly, at this point, I have money, so I can trade time for money, and just like buy an adventure path on like Roll20 and then have everything there.
Oh god, yeah, buying it on Roll20 would be so nice. It makes it easy. Oh.
I'm a very lazy dungeon master. Canthus can attest to half the time I like drag someone to a lair for battle, it's a gray square.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is the room you're fighting in. Use your imagination, you children.
Anyway, so there is a couple more topics to talk about. Let's talk about a new virtual tabletop that I saw a link to. That's up on Steam. Conclave, the virtual tabletop. So that's a Steam link. And I guess this is going to be a new direction for a lot of virtual tabletops. A little bit more of that video game experience, especially since we're getting that video game experience from D&D's new virtual tabletop. A lot more people are kind of going in that direction with a lot more fancy animations and stuff. It's
becoming easier for people to like go that direction, and like just because like the technology is there, like it's a lot easier for people to like make their own games and stuff. So yeah. I get it.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, having like
it's 10% off right now.
Spell effects and all those kind of things is kind of neat, honestly.
Big thing for me, and I don't think anyone. This is a blessing and a curse, because I'm going to shout out Foundry. Mm-hmm. Great product, very complicated to use. So if this is easier than Foundry, thumbs up. Because Foundry takes a lot of like homework to understand how to use. Yeah.
I think that's like, if you want something that's standard, very easy to use and learn, Roll20's are best, but you're not gonna have something super fancy. I like it because it's very easy to put things into. You know, getting into Foundry, Alchemy, this one it might take a little bit more, but how easy it is to use and build stuff into is the question. I think that'll make or break a lot of these more advanced systems. I think we'll always have a place for our Roll20s, but you know, it's the simple plain bread of VTTs.
It is the sometimes most boring way to run a tabletop game.
Yeah.
I actually like that Roll20 is trying to innovate a little bit more right now.
That's true.
They're actually kind of going back. Honestly, what I would love from Roll20 is a character sheet creator, because fuck CSS.
Yeah. So
it's the worst. I hate CSS.
Conclave is a new one. We'll have to keep an eye on it, see if it is interesting as it is, if it gets some steam. And, you know, sounds like people...
It's already gotten Steam. It's there.
I didn't actually mean to make that joke, but I realized it right as I said it. Right before you laughed, I'm like, I did say that. I said that. It was right in front of me, and I didn't mean to. But we said it.
I love the company that's made this. Their name is Aggressive Combustion.
Yeah. So, it's supposed to be easy tools. Check it out if you're interested. If you're looking for something a little fancier and a different VTT to try out, there you go. Here's a thing that I honestly I remember hearing about, but I forgot it was even going to happen. And guess what? It wasn't just the video game awards; it was the tabletop awards too. We had them, I guess.
Yeah, it's happened. I didn't pay attention to them because I never do.
Yeah.
I think these only started like last year.
I got
a very new thing, right?
Yeah, I got the finalists list from a different topic, but I don't have the winners list. It's somewhere in this app here. Where would I have seen this? Okay, they mentioned in the article who won and stuff in different categories, but there was best board game, best role-playing game, best ongoing card game, best art, designer of the year, publisher of the year, rising star designer, rising star publisher, and that looks to be the only awards that there was. And, I guess you could have watched it on PAX's Twitch channel, because it was at PAX. I forgot it was there.
Yeah,
that's where I'd seen it. Holy crap! I saw that it was going to be there briefly, and I was looking through what was going on there, and it just passed my mind that it was, because it's just such a. It was on Saturday anyway. Oh, I had left the convention center by the time they had it. It was the problem with being there on the weekend and traveling like by train and then by car is that I'm beholden to the train.
I'm always a proponent of anything that celebrates an industry is good.
Yeah.
And I look forward to, if this ever catches on, having like really cool advertisements for tabletop shit, and then maybe they'll mention an award every 20 minutes.
Yeah, like the Game Awards, video game awards. Honestly,
if you're not time to let anyone talk, but when Kojima's on stage, you better fucking listen.
I think Dicebreakers was hosting it too, because it's Dicebreakers' YouTube channel, PAX's Twitch channel. You can see where it was live streamed at. So they were streaming on both of those. So interesting. I think they are Dicebreakers. So yeah, if you want to check it out, that's an interesting thing. Yeah,
I do question this a little bit.
Okay.
Like, all right, because for best ongoing card game, can you call Lorcana an ongoing card game? Didn't that just come out?
I think the concept between ongoing card game is it's basically a CCG.
I guess.
Well, let me take a look at the list again.
They have like a bit of what award mean.
Ongoing one, Lorcana, Flesh and Blood, Pokemon. Yeah, all those are CCG are collectible card games, which I guess is a little different because again, there is just there are other types of card games that are less collectible. There are things like the Fantasy Flight did their card game series where when you bought something, you got all the stuff for it. There wasn't any randomization. These are your buy some packs, get some random shit, build a deck kind of games.
Cardboard gambling.
This is the cardboard gambling games. So your best ongoing card game is your cardboard gambling game.
Lorcana, which is apparently very good from what some of my friends have said.
I've heard good things about Flesh and Blood, and I know that the Pokemon trading card game has maintained itself pretty well nowadays.
I don't know how you play the Pokemon card game. I just assume people buy it for pretty pictures.
It mostly is nowadays, but you can actually play it. I remember trying to play it back when it first came out. I have some Pokemon cards still from those early sets.
My exposure to the Pokemon trading card game is when Ray does his occasional Pokemon unboxing streams.
Yeah. I mean, like...
And you get to a Weedle, and I'm like, hey, that's the one I know.
I play Pokemon Go. I've learned
I
everything
cannot,
after the second generation because
I
of it.
cannot name you a single Pokemon after Gen 3.
I was a Gen 2 kid for the longest time, and, like, I learned a few here and there just because of exposure to, like, you know, memes, anime culture, and honestly, you know, a few years ago, you know, when I first got into, like, you know, watching, you know, things like Let's Play or Twitch streams, some people playing some games, you see a couple of Pokemon here.
If anyone in chat, you know, has bought the Scarlet and Violet Pokemon packs, can you tell me if they came with the frame rate for the game or not? Or is that still not a thing?
I think the frame rate's just bad anyway. Look, you know... Oh, Pokemon games. They're just... They exist. Look, all I'm glad is, which, you know, will be a process when I finally do it, is I can actually take my stupid Pokemon from Pokemon Go and put them into the Pokemon Home and eventually put them into games if I want to buy the games. So
here's the thing, though. You could just not buy the Pokemon games and buy something else.
Yeah, but I've spent... I feed my addictive personality with Pokemon
play a better
Go
video game.
And you know, I don't spend money on that very often. So, I mean, like, it's a thing that I could just do, to, like, you know, feed that part of my nature. It actually helps me that I don't buy Magic cards now. I'm like, I don't have this urge to buy Magic cards. Man.
Oh,
that's
go
why.
outside and catch a Pidgeot.
That's what I do instead.
Better video games like Skyrim, yeah. You could buy Skyrim again.
Look, you know, it's... Just watch me play Fallout 4. I collect everything. It's that same kind of part of my personality. I like hoarding everything.
Dude, if you would ever play Starfield, you'd be so mad, because I don't think junk has a single fucking use in Starfield.
Anyway. There are two more things to talk about today. First off, I would have to... Okay, so it's called... Okay, let me see if I can link to their actual site, because I saw the Dicebreakers article. Let me see if I can get a link to... Yes, I've got a link on our Talsorian games, the people that do Witcher and Cyberpunk.
Hell yeah, I love those guys.
Have a new game that they finally revealed that they're working on. And it's ninjas.
Damn right it is.
So they're basically doing, you know, a ninja game. That's what they're doing now. They debuted the game at PAX Unplugged. I'm guessing in one of those many panels where you never know if someone's going to announce something or not. I'm sorry, the 50 years of... The only reason I knew to go to the 50 years of D&D was apparently Dungeon Dad Josiah told me he had talked to someone else who had talked to one of those people that was up on the panel and was like, oh yeah, you should come to this thing. And of course then you don't know if it actually is something or if it's just going to be a nothing burger, and it was actually a little bit of something. But it's sort of like, you never know on those panels. It's why I hate panels.
Would you like a fun fact about this company, by the way?
Sure.
They made the first anime tabletop RPG.
That's pretty cool.
They also made a Dragon Ball Z one, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, yes, we don't know a lot about Shadowstar overall. They had their panel. It was apparently... We had heard about it before under its codename Project Blue Moon that they were working on. And it's using a new system called their Mosaic system.
Oh, it's not using Fusion? Damn.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
It's a dice system that uses only 6-sided dice. With the we've seen systems like that with D6 systems.
Yeah.
It's similar to many other D6 systems, but probably it's the nuance that'll be different from like Cyberpunk, Shadowrun, and a lot of those other D6 systems. Where I think, yeah, Shadowrun's D6 too.
Shadowrun is D6s.
Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to be as crunchy, they say, as Witcher or Cyberpunk is, and very,
which is good because there's a lot of numbers involved in Cyberpunk.
Yeah. So it centers on the Shadowscar Agency, a secretive organization whose agents are tasked with protecting multiple worlds of the Mosaic from an invasion of interdimensional monsters. So,
Sounds
yes.
sick.
Yep. So it's going to be very dimension travel-y and stuff like that, apparently. And, yes. And, okay. And there's more information on it. I put that one. I'll give the Dicebreakers article, but they break down a lot more of what was at the panel than what the announcement on our Talsorian's site was. They had a little bit. So it sounds cool. You know, those people do very good things. The Witcher RPG, I've only heard good things about it. And, you know, Cyberpunk RPG, what they've done with it, you know, very good. So they've got good, pedigree. There we go.
They're a smaller company. They are a household name in the industry.
Yeah, they're very good. So if you hear they're working on something, expect it to be very good. So hopefully we'll see some more on it. And the final thing is something that is a 5e campaign, but it is being published by Modifius, Raiders of the Serpent Sea. They have a campaign guide, a player's book, and a couple of other products.
Oh, yeah, it's the weird Norse thing.
Yeah. So, you know, it's got the world of Grimnir, which is Norse-inspired. Epic backgrounds, hordes, legendary loot, you know, sea serpents, all that kind of stuff.
Japanese-inspired too.
Probably a little bit of both. They got a little bit of that in there, you know, so they're not just, you never know. But, anyway. So.
I mean, it's got the lead designer of Dragon Age Origins, who I have to remember if that's Laidlaw or the other guy. I don't remember.
Oh, wait, never mind. I was looking at...
Which one is it? Is it Brett Knowles or Mike Laidlaw?
You're still looking at Shadow Scar?
I looked at... I didn't look at the second one for Shadow Scar, and I just looked at it. Never mind. Okay, yeah, never mind.
It's okay. Yeah, apparently lead designer for Dragon Age Origins is the creators of Odyssey of the Dragon Lords and this one. Yeah.
It doesn't say which one, because there are 2 lead designers for that game.
So it is supposed to be a campaign. It takes you from 1 to 16th, but you do have, of course, the other material related around it. The player's guide, the main book, which is a full campaign, and some other various little things for it. So I assume like the player's guide is a lot smaller. It's just for building characters set in it. And, you know, the campaign setting is, you know, it's your adventure, your world, all that kind of stuff, as they do a lot of these campaign books. So if you want to try out a 5e campaign set in a Norse world, you know, what they do with 5e now, which is tweaked up and edited in slightly ways to make it unique in a version of it that's interesting. Go ahead and check this out. Again, it's one of those things is I do enjoy about 5e is it is very universal tooling that you can just like kind of tweak things and mess around with things.
Kind of the best D20 system on the market because of how modular it is.
Modular, that's the other word I was looking for. Yeah, it's so modular we can come up with.
Lightning and I have ripped 5e apart so much that I feel like we're pretty well versed in its inner workings.
Definitely, that's why when things come out, it'll be good to get some advice from you about how you think everything ended up when they finish pulling it apart and stuff.
Yeah, I will have some opinions when Lightning and I rip apart the new rules.
Yeah, you know, again, I think it's that thing is we almost have to take the player's handbook and the 2 other books completely separately when we get the new 1D&D stuff, just because they are very different on their requirements, you know, and what they're looking for. And again, that's another thing to reflect upon with for folks that are updating onto that new one is consider that. If you're running the new stuff and you want to try running it, you might have to get those books, you know, other than just the nursing. Unfortunately, just for the balance sake of what is, you know, being updated there. We talked about it. God, that was about an hour 40 minutes. I can go over a little bit of my experience at, I guess, PAX Unplugged then, before we finish up today.
A long one.
God,
that's a lot. It was 2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks with a lot of stuff both weeks, I feel like.
A lot of stuff happened this week.
It was very busy. I think the thing I can say about this year's PAX Unplugged that I reflected upon a little bit, and I don't think I've talked about it a lot because I talked a little bit about what I did on my stream on Monday. If you want to check out my entire description of my time there, as a visitor. But as a person who goes to this for content, it's insane at this point in time. I'm sorry. And I do reflect upon that, like, this is something that Dungeon Dad Josiah said to me, and it makes me feel like we're not quite there with PAX Unplugged, but we're getting there. He went to Gen Con this year. He said to me, it was 4 days, it wasn't until day 3, like I'd seen everything once. That's insane. How do you even begin to realize everything that's there? And it's that problem that I was faced with when being there. Yes, it's really great to see Steve Jackson Games there. Some people that are connected with Modifius there. We had Paizo that had she was showing off playtests for both the new Starfinder and for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The Pokemon Company that was there. GamesWorks was showing off Warhammer stuff. There was some stuff for Magic and stuff there, and D&D was there in a way too. They didn't have like the same kind of booths, but they were there with the big announcements and stuff, so they were there. And there were so many, like a lot of companies were there. I feel like when we, like the last couple of years, we had a little bit, since the pandemic, we had a little bit less representation. This felt like the year that everybody felt like they were there. But in the fact that everybody was there, it's really hard to see everybody and see everything. I sat down and playtested exactly one game the entire time I was there. Now, I only went the 2 days. I just couldn't go the third day because there wasn't enough for me to have an excuse to spend, and this is just a problem with my way of going there, at least an hour and a half to 2 hours of traveling to get to a place, do some things, and spend the amount of time back. Like, if I could go and, like, some friends of mine get a B&B and I stay with them, or some people get, like, a hotel room and I stay with them or something, where I could, make it not maybe slightly more costly, but still cost-effective for me to go down there and stay down there, I think it would be a lot better. And I think that would improve my time at the convention. So this is the first thing I got to caveat with all this, when I look through a lot of this stuff there. But I think I'll try to display this very well. I have the big thing you got here, and I'll look and see how this looks on stream. Here is the list of people presenting stuff. That is the expo hall. This is crazy. There's like well over 100 booths there. And spending even 5 minutes at each of those booths is 500 minutes. That's like a day of spending a time there. And that's just 5 minutes. That's just taking a look, seeing what's there, not even talking to someone about it there. And I think it's a disadvantage that there's so much there, I think. And I think that's something I have to reflect about this. And it makes it like, me individually, I can't do a lot. Like, if I can get, like, you folks, Joe, maybe some other people that can be around, that, like, I can get some help, and we can take, like, split some things up, take a look at some things, spend part of a day doing that, get some reports back, test out, see things, have much more of a chance. You almost need a team of people to really look at things or know what you're looking for when you go there. It's really cool, a lot of the stuff they have there. It's really nice to see so many new games and stuff being displayed and all those things, but it just harkens back to previous discussions I've had about conventions, about my feelings about them. Unless you have, help and stuff, it's not, you can't see everything. So you're not going for the business side as much as you really want to. So, I did walk the shore floor a lot. There was a lot of really neat stuff. I saw, who is it that's Traveler? Saw them too. They were there with their Traveler stuff.
Mongoose.
Mongoose, yeah. Mongoose was there. Free League Press. The people that do Mork Borg. There was a lot of stuff with Mork Borg this year. Mork Borg was pretty popular. Something about that was drawing. And that's been out for a while, and I think I've talked about it before. but I hadn't realized that it's having a surge in like something feels like a surge in popularity, but it might not be a big one. It just might be a little bit of like discovery now. Some of those other things come out, and that's one that I've recognized has been out. Chaosium, it's just you name it, they probably were there on display, and there was a lot of like. When you get into like the back end of the convention hall too, it just gets so stuffed and filled so much more than when you're over by like your games workshops and your Pokemons and the things that have much bigger displays. You can kind of actually enjoy those displays and have like space in between you and the next person. When you're over by the mom and pop tabletop people, not like literally mom and pop, but the small tabletop people that maybe have 1 or 2 games over on the far end of the exhibitions hall, you're stuffed in there like sardines some of the time. It gets stuffed back in those smaller aisles in the back too, which I think is a disadvantage to reflecting on those games. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. I loved seeing things like a lot of the tabletop accessories, like cool miniatures. There's these like cool people that did full like 3D model pirate ships that you would use as battle boards. Where I joked with River about it that if anybody bought that you'd have to basically add a pirate ship into every one of your adventures. Because you're spending like $300 for something and you can't just use it once.
True.
There's so much stuff that since I don't play in person anymore, it's like, oh, that would be really cool if I played in person. Like,
yeah,
dice towers, dice bags, dice boxes, all kinds of weird accessories here and there. Dice, like role-playing tables they show off places. Wormwood does a lot of cool things. I have to remember all the companies that are there. It's a place that I like experiencing, but a lot of going to a convention like that I feel like is meeting with friends that you have that you can enjoy some of it with. Catching up with people, playing some tabletop games. If you're looking for certain games or books, buying them. It is a good opportunity to do those without a lot of shipping, without having to go worrying about your local game store getting it. So if you like a lot of these board games, a little while back, you remember the name of that game that I tried out, you and Joe, the Dragon board game? Flamecraft. I saw Flamecraft there, and I was like, oh, I played that with Worm! That was awesome to see! And I was like, that's when I recognized, because you had, you said you had that, for playing it, you had it on Kickstarter,
I backed it.
You backed it?
I have it in a box over there.
Yeah, you had it up on, Tabletop Simulator, you brought it up for us, we played it, and it was awesome and cool. It was a good game, I liked it a lot. But the thing is, like, if I played in person, I would also think more about that, of like, hey, there's that game that we played, and it was cool, and I played it on Tabletop Simulator, I might want to own it, and there are games that I would love to own, but I also like to play with people in person sometimes. I have excuses to them.
Fair.
So, I think tabletop-wise, everything that's there, it's a very hard thing to display, and I tried my best. Anybody that's watching this live or things, I tried to live stream there. I think my best bet might be just to set up a bunch of recordings and actually then add them together and do long recordings, because my current phone should have enough space to have some long recordings. I just have never. I'm used to my older phone, which I had some space limitations, from a number of years ago. So I should be used to the fact that I should have enough space on my current phone to have an hour-long recording of my walk there. And so my attempts to stream it there, mixed bag, I put them together in a compilation that I put up on YouTube. You can check it out. It's very jank, but I at least show you about a third of the things before things broke. So if you want to see a third of the show floor, it's there. Anyway, okay. I could dive into it more, but I think I've talked about PAX Unplugged enough between when I talk about it on Monday and talking about it here, and the big thing of the 50 years anniversary panel, which I feel like was the the biggest actual news related and my job related thing I did there, other than my attempts to stream on Saturday. Also, if you're going for it, I would recommend Friday/Sunday. And if you want to skip a day, skip out Saturday, and then maybe just go to some nice local places in the area, because Saturday sucked in comparison. It was just so many filled with people. That's the day everybody wants to go to. More than anything. But most people can just go Saturday for a lot of locals and stuff. So that's anyway, there we go. How about our weeks in gaming? We had a bunch of stuff in weeks. Why don't we just kind of go by like the days of the week? But if you had 2 weeks of stuff, we can kind of review it. Did anybody do anything on either Monday?
No, nothing for me.
I mean, no.
Either Tuesday.
No.
Tuesday, a big nope for me.
Okay. Well, I had 2 sessions of Crimson Queen.
Good.
Yes. Missed those. They are live on my channel. Check them out.
This is Wednesday,
Yeah, this is Wednesday. I think that I really much more have enjoyed your take on the adventure so far, the way your characters work. I feel like all of you still contribute pretty decently to the narrative without anybody really falling apart. Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes the team splitting, it's narratively useful, but then it kind of like, it feels like we're sitting a little bit for some people, and that way it's
fun.
Okay. You know, I always worry about that, though. I understand that.
I mean, when one person does run off to like the other side of the city, it's a little hard. It's a little hard when one person just books it out of crime land into the noble district to do stuff.
Like at least the rest of you were nearby to each other, so it was very easy to get you back
we were nearby
together.
to all imbibe in some sin.
Mine was pointless.
Honestly, I'm
But it
gonna
was
say
fun.
it. This has been far more entertaining and fun than Skulls and Shackles was.
I think it's because I learned a lot of lessons from Skulls and Shackles, and I am very much so letting the narrative weave itself while using, like, Skulls and Shackles, because of the way it was, and especially towards the back end, it was very hard to deviate very hard from what was going on without, like, vast deviations. While
Skulls
here...
and Shackles, and this may be because for the first 10 sessions I could not roll. I didn't want to be there for the first book at all. I was like, man, I got at least another year of this. And then it got a little better. And then it got not so great around book 5.
I feel like book 5 breaks down a little bit, and this one might have some later book breakdowns, but I feel like at least book 1 is pretty standard. There's like, you're pretty far into the book. You're pretty close to being done with the ambassador. And then after that, there's basically like 2 other story points, which leads to the end of book 1. And those, one of them probably will have combat, because it connects to an actual like small dungeon area that you can check out. That's linked to the entire storyline beat.
Really, I think we have a really good party for this game. I think we all made really good characters for this, because there are so many different degrees of chaotic in this party.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have like Cell's character who's good before chaotic, and you have mine who's chaotic before good. You got Joe and Worms, who are like these chaotic neutral-ish.
Joe's
roughly barbarians.
Joe's a little bit more centered in
Yeah.
his chaotic good, but
Then you
I'm
got-
very much chaotic. I am chaotic neutral. Like,
Then you got
it hasn't
Tavel.
really come up yet though, because there's just too much good
Tavel.
to where I can
Yeah,
be so.
You got Tavel, the sleepy boy.
I feel like Tavel's just this kind of like neutral almost now, because I feel
Tavel's
like
true neutral.
I think Tavel was probably lawful neutral until the law turned against them, and now they're
Yeah.
kind of like in this middle ground, because they're just like, they're disenfranchised by it all, you know. So just kind of hit this like true neutral almost because of that, you know, because, you know, being blamed by a murder and being like losing your entire destiny of like what you felt like were going, it just kind of destroys you, you know. So Tavel's thing is just being like, well, whatever, let's keep going. Tavel's a poor depressed man.
Tavel's a sad boy, but that's fine. Tavel got 8 hours of sleep.
Tavel did get a nap.
Tavel had a nap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I honestly, when I first, because I did Tavel first, I did not figure out you all meet up that quickly afterwards because of the way you were telling things. So I opened up Tavel to be there all night, you know, and I'm like,
I thought we were just gonna leave Tavel there.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but everybody kept ending up there anyway. So I'm like, I guess you're all heading back there then.
Yeah, I mean, it was just easier that way.
It was. It would have been funnier to leave Tavel there and meet back at the inn. And where's Tavel? We went to the inn. Maybe he's still at the inn. We should go there.
We all know as of last session, making deals with the literal devil is okay, but you know, making deals with the crime person, that's not cool.
Oh God, yeah, no, like it's.
How dare I make the plot more interesting?
Look, I mean, I gotta be honest. It's definitely very interesting either way. I really find it hilarious that, like, you know, the chaotic good character was willing to make a deal with the lawful evil.
Literally, like, chaos before good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you gotta work with evil people to get what you need.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, he is the lesser of many evils. Like,
kill him later.
And that's the thing that the I can't remember, Croft said to you. She's like, look, just don't try to deal with him. He keeps things stable in that area. Yeah. You know, he pays his vice taxes, and he keeps the worst criminals out of the way. You know,
like, as someone from old Corvosa, born and raised, probably just like this is just the way it works here.
Yeah. There's a lot of criminal aspects, and like he is pretty bad, but he just skirts the line between a lot of worse people. You know, doesn't mean that if you end up on his bad side, you might not end up dead.
Yeah,
but you know what you're coming for when you deal with him. He's business first. You know, you have to really piss him off to get to murder.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I'm actually gonna be very curious for when, it's gonna be up to Ada to make a decision, because, like, so far that hasn't really happened yet. Ada goes along with the flow a lot more, but also I'm very curious to be all like...
you made the best decision to get smoked.
I mean...
I just had, when I saw that, I just had to keep that. I'm just like, right, get smoked. Okay, we're sticking with this.
You can't have a dude named Tugger and then get smoked in the same session.
He was great. I'm sorry, I love that man. I just couldn't help it.
You can't do that to me. You can't have both of them in a session with me.
Yeah. But anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
That was a very fun session. I love the torture
legs. Great. I love all the characters we have. All our freaks.
We got a lot of great characters. I have a lot of fun with it. I feel like I think it's another thing is I am usually only before a season, I would prepare like way in advance and like have a lot of stuff set up. I'm only setting up enough for maybe 1 or 2 sessions now, and I feel a lot better about that.
You didn't leave yourself a lot of room in Skulls and Shackles for improv. And I think you're leaving yourself a lot of room for improv here.
Yeah, because like I only have so much material, so yes, I have more material I can use, but I can just improv a lot more. And like I feel like being in one location helps so much more.
Oh, yeah. Being in one fucking city versus an entire like archipelago.
Oh my god. I can just there's so much little details about Corvosa I can just use and then improvise the rest on it. I think that's something that helps me too with a lot of improvisation. When I have that little nugget of something that's there, I can work with it. You know, just like, it gives me a spark.
If you look at anything in the Shackles, 90% of the islands are like a sentence of lore, and that's it.
Which is it would help in some cases.
Do you have the Guide to Corvosa, Pentis?
I do own the Guide to Corvosa.
I do too. That's what I was wondering.
I've
Like,
run or I've been in a game in Corvosa before.
I have
not this adventure, but
I have a lot of PDFs in first edition, and I do have some of the. I think I even some of the ones that we'll talk about in second edition. They don't have as big a books, I think, in second edition. But...
was it Council of Thieves that was in Corvosa? I think that's the one I did a long ass time ago.
I think it might start in Corvosa. That or Myanmar. It's somewhere in Varese. I can't remember which.
Yeah, it's one of them.
Also, I do like one of the things about the Corvosans. It's just like, oh yeah, the one bit about
West
food.
Crown.
The one bit about food is like, oh yeah, Corvosan food is very bland.
Yeah, it's not a great place to live.
No, Corvosa is kind of a bad place to live. It's why a bunch of people left and made their own city. We're like, fine, fuck you guys. We're gonna make a city over here on the other coast. Also, I feel like the other people didn't kick out anybody to move into the place they moved into. Something that, Corvosa claims to fame. Conquering a large territory, murdering a lot of people for their land.
Yeah, Ada's actually very much like... Ada's definitely a little bit more on the... These people are terrible. Why? It's like, they should be wiped off the face of the earth. But innocent people would suffer, so probably not the best.
It's the thing that I think...
It might be worth it.
It's that kind of thing that there is, like, a lot of anger in the Shuanti people, but there is also, like, plenty of them that have that entire thing of, like, not all of them are at fault, and it has been a number of generations, Yeah. So it's sort of like, there's definitely this, like... But there are still, like, entire clans of them that are, like, hardlined of, like, nah, we're just gonna fucking kill those guys,
Yeah.
It was very interesting to deep dive into Shuanti people a little bit more. Anything on Thursday for anybody?
Thursday, I have 1 week of Thursday. I started up a small Fall D20 game, which is taking place up in the wonderful land of Erie, by Lake Erie. Their brother is still dudes going to look for a dude who kind of stole some shit and ran away. And they've encountered the only threat so far, a werewolf. Because, fun fact, in Fallout, cryptids are just a thing. As of Fallout 76, there are just mutants that are very similar to cryptids. Fallout 76 goes a little far with adding, like, literal Mothman and Injured Cold to it, but I'm not going that far. I'm just like, Pennsylvania has a weird werewolf. I can see that being a mutant.
And the thing is, like, they do that a lot with stuff like, I know Far Island does a bunch of it in Fallout 4, and Fallout 3, Fallout 3 had their DLC with a lot of, like, weird shit and stuff.
Yeah. Fallout 3 has an alien DLC.
It does have alien DLC.
It's the best DLC for that game, too.
Yeah. I did like the Fallout 3, the final DLC, which is basically, oh hey, the end of the game, it kind of sucked, we're gonna add some more on there. They're not really do a good job of it, it's sort of like...
I have a spicy hot opinion. I don't like Fallout 3 that much.
I can understand that.
I wasn't a fan of it, personally.
Storyline isn't great either.
I think when it came out, I wasn't ready to be like, this is what Fallout is, and I still think I'm like, Fallout 3 is not that great. Fallout New Vegas, pretty alright. Fallout 4, it's okay. When you can get New Vegas to run properly, it's a great game. 4 is kind of a hot mess, but it's fun.
I really like exploring in 4.
So 4 has like the best world to explore.
Yeah, that's what's fun. I think the thing I always think about it is, my experience with Fallout is, oh cool, it's Morrowind / Oblivion, but I get to shoot things.
My experience with Fallout goes all the way back to Fallout 1.
See, I came in at 3.
I'm quite versed in old Fallout. I've died to those cave rats many times.
I started in that.
It was always my favorite thing when I would see people play Fallout 1 for the first time and not get past the cave.
Yeah, I've heard plenty of those tales.
I mean, games used to be hard. But yeah, it's I'm really rusty at 2D20 systems, but it's been fun to go back to Fallout. I think it's my favorite 2D20 system.
Anybody do anything on a Friday?
No, I play Baldur's Gate on Friday.
about last Saturday.
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
And
Baldur's Gate.
Sunday, we did have a Joe's game.
Ooh, I don't hear about this that often.
Okay, so
It's supposed to be in that, and I didn't have time.
It's very interesting because it's like we have this planar aspect of it, and I do actually really like the plot so far as he's presented. I have to say that.
Mhm.
It's a little weird, but I like it.
Yeah.
We have like these like weird planar evil people or something that we've linked to twice now.
Nice.
Plus, also we've discovered our planar portals, which are very rare on wherever we're from, are being a little disabled for reasons.
Plot, got it.
Yeah. And then
I mean, we assume the weird people who are like planes traveling are related, obviously.
Nah, it's coincidence.
yeah.
That was great, that moment when I'm like, I think there's a problem with planar portals, and you are like, hey, what's the proof you have? It's in 2 portals, that can't be. Everyone was all like, you're jumping to conclusions, and I'm all like, technically yes, but
I think it's a thing of like, you know more than the rest of us. Look, I'm a guy. I'm playing a bard. I went to bard college.
Playing another guy.
I'm playing a drunken dwarven bard, and I'm an aristocrat that ended up a bureaucrat the town we're all from because my family sent me there to keep me out of trouble, and so we're back in the main city that to like find out information, and so like. I imagine, like, Worm's character's from, like, the wizard school. It's, like, a proper college. I'm from Bard College. We're, like, the frat kind of house college.
Yeah, it's
You're
fun, because, like,
the party college.
Yeah!
Like, I'm from, like, a college that specifically, like, studies planes.
And I'm like,
college is where you go to get smoked.
That's what I figured and stuff. So I'm like, well, I did learn some things from my classes, just not that. So it's like, do I roll my Arcana check and actually roll very high? Like, oh yeah, oh god, I'm really glad I stopped by that class. I was going to skip, but I remember this. God damn it. I love the dynamic, and then we got the 2 other players do a good job. I
like Kay, what's his name?
I'm bad with their names still, and their characters' names, because I've written down so I would know them. I've written down the name in Discord, the name they go by, and their character name, so I can try to differentiate the people, but it's not always easy.
What time does this game happen?
Sunday
Sundays,
around the time,
around
3
this
PM
time.
PST. Yeah, basically
So
when
6
tabletop
EST.
starts.
Maybe I'll poke Joe and do a couple of guest sessions or something.
Yeah, it's like every other week, it's been pretty good.
Like 2 guest sessions for some dumbness.
But yeah, it's pretty great. We basically murdered a guy who was making a rat army. And,
hell yeah.
and we
sounds like one of my villains.
We stole back the sword he stole from the town, and then I identified it, and we found out it has a wish spell on it.
It's a luck blade, and we now have a luck blade that we don't know what to do.
I was going to use that wish from our rats.
Well, the thing is, he stole it.
He stole it to sell it to
a member of that evil organization, because like he had a letter on him that had their symbol at the bottom, meet us at this place to give us the sword,
Yeah.
So no one knew.
Letter.
No one knew it's a magical sword, and especially no one knows it's a fucking luck blade with a wish left in it. And we're like, what the hell do we do with this?
It was a sword. It was a sword that was used by the founder.
Oh, nice.
And basically, they just all assumed that it was just this sword that was a symbol for the town, and it was hung in the town hall.
What you do is you waste the wish on something frivolous.
We've talked about doing that. We don't know. We're also, like, none of us understand how the wish spell works, so we're also, like, nervous about that.
Yeah, my character's all like, I need to study, don't try.
This is why you need someone like me who can play the ultimate dumbass with 8 intelligence.
But yeah, we killed Ratman. Didn't we actually deliver him to the Thieves Guild? because he betrayed the Thieves Guild.
Well, yeah, we did technically non-lethal damage him and delivered him to the Thieves Guild, who he went behind their back, went rogue from to steal the sword.
I like how now twice I've cast sleep and twice I've put one of our teammates to sleep with it.
Nice.
I did like Joe's touch of, okay, well, now we can use him to show a lesson to those who want to betray us. I don't remember his name, but George, get the cleaver.
We're out of here.
Yeah.
we're just gonna take this thing we got and we're gonna go. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out later. God. I feel like our exploration for the finding the Thieves Guild and then taking out the rat guy, that was fun. Joe did a pretty good job of explaining that. I'm curious as to where the story will go, because we are going to be adding in sigil and planes hopping and stuff like that, where that will come in. And I think as long as our plot maintains for a while and its momentum, it won't be bad. I know that Joe has a problem sometimes with longer storytelling, so I'm curious if we can keep him on track, and if his overall story will keep up the same pace as it is, but he has made me look forward to it so far in what he's displayed, Again, though, I also like early on grinding gears before we went to another dimension. There were some things that went a little crazy.
About the other dimension.
I mean, it went crazy a little bit early, so I think we've encountered crazy, but it's crazy that almost doesn't feel as out of place as the crazy grinding gears. This is like, oh, something planar's going on. And then we're like, oh, more crazy planar shit's going on. We already knew about planar shit, so now it's along the same lines of crazy that we already kind of encountered once, so we're ready for it. Now, I think that's a better storytelling. So,
fair.
But yeah, I think that's our weeks in gaming. Baldur's Gate. How do people play Baldur's Gate? We'll start with Wyrm. How was your Baldur's Gate adventures?
I say, did I do that this week?
You had 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, so
you've done a lot.
I saved people from. I saved a child from the belly of a hag.
Nice.
And I then I went and I found Minsk as he tore his way out of a mimic. That was a fun scene.
Oh yeah.
But that's I knew he was in the game, so that's not a spoiler.
No, I know.
He's Matt Mercer.
They advertised him, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saved Volo again.
Hey, he's a cool guy. He's a wizard.
And now I'm ghost busting.
Nice.
Oh
yeah.
How was your, I guess, new adventures?
Lightning and I, as Patch 5 came out, so we started a new game to steal the new content. Lightning hadn't played since, I think, Patch 1, so it's a lot of new content for him. Not a lot of new content for me. I am playing a Gith Yankee Paladin, so my responses to dialogue are absolutely hilarious. Gith Yankee do not understand how people work.
Yeah, no.
There was a really good scene with Astarion where he had a mirror and he's like, I can't look at myself in mirror because I'm evil and stupid. Can you describe me? And my Gith Yankee response was like 5'11", pale skin, half elf.
I also like I'm playing on. I have an off-stream file which I'm playing that is also the Gith Yankee, and I do love how
it's so funny.
There's a part where you can like encourage children, and like when I played it the first time, like some of them were like okay, and other ones were like bad. Mm-hmm. But with the Gith Yankee one, all of them were just all like. Yeah. It's like, if you can't fight, you'll die. I cut my way out of the belly of a dragon for warmth or something.
Yeah. When you're inspiring the children, there's a really good dialogue line where the guy's like, hey, can you inspire these children? They're scared. One of the dialogue lines for Gith is like, congratulations, you're all going to die.
Yeah, that was the third one.
Oh my god.
It's so funny to play a Githyanki because your interactions with Lizelle are also very, very different.
I'm sure, because again, like it's the thing that like I think is interesting when I've heard more people talk about it, because Lizelle definitely shows up as a very like rough, brash character.
If you don't know Githyanki, you will hate her.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you don't understand the culture she's coming from and like where she's at, it's sort of like I think someone said it best is like when she offers you the out of let me help you get this horrible tadpole out of your brain. That's something she shouldn't do from her culture. But she's offering it to you also because she's like, you helped me, I should help you. You know, it's very not her culture, which is like, that's really shows to her that she actually does have a good character. She's just, it's behind the veneer of her basically asshole culture.
Yeah.
Know? She's not from a good people. They worship like an eternal, they worship and serve an eternal lich queen.
Blackett is pretty bad, fun fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm romancing Shadowheart in my game accidentally because I wasn't expecting it. Because I was like, oh, I'll go for Lizelle, and then Lizelle was like, I respect you, and also I smell you, and it makes my hair stand up. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't have the prerequisite desires for your character. I think we work better as friends.
That's funny because like I'm playing Lizelle and I'm also romancing Shadowheart.
But the first romance scene where you're just kind of chilling with Shadowheart, drinking some wine, my animation broke, and when my character went in for the kiss, it didn't go into her face; it went right into her chest.
Oh my god, that's great. That's great. That's very good. I'm sorry, I'm very entertained.
But yeah, no, it's a great time. Githyanki are absolutely hilarious. I'm also doing an absurd throw build where I can do like, I think I calculated one of my throws, because I have all the items now. One of my throw attacks is a minimum of 20 damage.
Jeez, that's crazy. Very crazy.
It's very crazy. There's an ability you can get where you can choose to crit once a day on a melee attack. So I have a once per day automatic crit smite.
Well, very, very good times. Definitely, I'll have to get some playthroughs on.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll just have to figure out, good times for the playthrough. Once
truly is insane that I have done at this point I've done Act 1 5 times at this point, and I'm still seeing new content in Act 1.
I definitely want to get a couple playthroughs in. Like, probably do once I got it, probably do like a single player playthrough. I'll probably start that once I'm done. Honestly, once I'm done Fallout 4, which I probably will. I'm thinking about it. I might just play through exploring the entire place, checking out the DLCs, and then as soon as I have to go to Diamond City, just stop the entire game.
Yeah, because honestly, the game kind of goes to shit after that.
I just don't really want to play through the main story.
I would really recommend, if you plan to do, I don't know if you plan to do it Baldur's Gate on stream or anything, but your solo game, I really recommend you do Dark Urge.
Maybe for multiplayer, and maybe like I'll do the Dark Urge on single player on stream or something.
Yeah, I really recommend Dark Urge as a single player experience because it changes the game so much.
Yeah, so. But also, I might wait till like done multiplayer on stream or something before doing single player. I don't know what I want to do when I finally have that option. So, I do want to get some more group gaming on stream at some point in time. I just have to figure out organizing it, and it's like I also want to do more top stuff. So I don't want to it's that kind of thing of like figuring out when I want to do things. Just putting them in the schedule at some point. Anyway, all right. So I think that's pretty much everything. That's our week in gaming. I can shout out if you missed any of my tabletop related content. I can shout out a few things that I did. I ended up talking. I skipped out on Tuesday just because of scheduling and stuff, and I did talk about the Shwanti and Rahadom on Thursday, and earlier today I talked about the Ratkin from Werewolf the Apocalypse, which was a interesting and fun one. So, if you ever want to know about poor, crazy were-rats, you can. They kind of went a little insane. Don't worry about it. It's technically the werewolf's fault. But anyway, it really is. And then, I think that's about it. Momo, do you have anything to shout out?
Yeah. Shout out to Flute Guy from the Game Awards, living his best life.
God, yes.
Amazing performance as always.
Yeah, that was very.
Shout out to when Tantus puts Dead Space 3 on the schedule one day. Maybe eventually. You can run it with your current computer, to be fair.
I could, but I also feel like I'm close enough to getting to do one that I'm
might as well make it look. You might as well make the trash game look nice.
Yeah, honestly. And then,
also, shout out to, I did mention his channel, Matthew Koval. He is a great resource for anyone wanting to learn how to DM.
And Worm, what do you got for your shout out?
I'm Diamondwyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/Diamondwyrm or at Diamondwyrm on Twitter. I've been playing Baldur's Gate. That's pretty much it lately, honestly. I'm probably only going to be streaming on weekends for the next week or two, just because a lot of stuff's going on in real life, so it's been taking up my time.
I mean, it happens. Real life has some crazy stuff occasionally. So.
I feel that.
It happens. Anyway, for me, just keep in mind I have a bunch of tabletop stuff to do. Main schedule for if you're looking for tabletop things is going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, early afternoon. I talk about tabletop topics. Same thing for Saturday mornings, usually around 11 o'clock. So make sure to check those out. Always good. That's stuff. Crimson Queen, every Friday at, Wednesday at 9. God, my brain we've been on for a while. My brain's beginning to break down. Sorry. It's been 2.5 hours almost because it was such a big episode.
That's true.
So Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Checking that out. It's really fun. I love that.
Awesome.
We have really great time with each other, that kind of stuff. Very enjoyable. And then this show every most Saturdays, I should say, at 6 p.m. So, that's the stuff. I do other gaming streams Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. All the tabletop stuff ends up on YouTube. Check it all out. Anyway, I'm going to say everybody for now, I hope you have a great rest of your Friday. I hope, you join us all again in the future. Thank you once again, Worm, Momo, for joining me. Make sure to check out their stuff. And of course, they'll be on Crimson Queen on Wednesday. And, I'll be back for other streaming stuff on Monday. So check me out there. And, let's also just have a great rest of your weekend. So until next time any of us see you, we'll see you to say for now. Farewell and goodbye.
Goodbye, my friend.